up, YouTube? Army Vet Trucker here, and I've made some changes to the way I'll be doing the videos, trying to make them more interesting. So today we're going to be doing one of a two-part series, and both videos will be releasing today. I'm going to be talking about the pros to being over the road as a fairly new driver to the industry. I got about 10 months in now, and I'm going to be going over some of the things that I've found out in this video that are pros to being on the road. And then I'll have a part 2 coming out shortly about the cons that I have. So with that being said, first off, I want to say thank you to the ones that watch. I don't have very many followers or subscribers, but I'm hoping that as time goes on it'll change and everything like that as I go on with my travels and try to work on the videos a little bit more. And thanks for watching. You know, hopefully this helps out someone out there that's looking to get into trucking. And also, today is Memorial Day, and I'm a big supporter of veterans. I am a veteran myself. I'm a big supporter in the brothers and sisters in arms that we've lost fighting the wars overseas and past, present, you know, in the future. And I just want to make sure that, you know, we do keep them in our thoughts and minds as we celebrate those that paid the ultimate sacrifice. And remember that Memorial Day is about those that gave the ultimate sacrifice and not so much about the 3-day weekend. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump into my video. So I'm going to be talking about the pros in this part 1. I got it all in my notebooks so we don't stray too far from the topic. Now behind me, that curtain that looks really worn out really isn't. That's just how they come. But it's it's my privacy shield that I have that I can put up around my window to open up the front of the cab for privacy, so I don't have to use just my curtain and have that really small area in the back. So I have half of it down so we can use some natural lighting. And there's a moth in my truck. Cool. So let's go ahead and start off. So we're going to start with the first pro. The first pro is the money. Now, depending on who you talk to will depend on how they think the money is a pro. For me, coming from working at Harley Davidson, several other jobs that I've worked when I was a motorcycle mechanic, I'm making 3 times as much now. More steady, even though sometimes it can be sporadic depending on the mileage I run. So if you're trying to compare this to someone that's an owner-operator, been doing it for years, owns their own truck, I mean, there's a big difference. But for someone that's been working a menial job, whether fast food or just a local job, something that pays anywhere between $9 to $13 an hour, over the road, substantially more money, it's great. It's been great. Me and my wife have been able to do things and save money and work on paying things off and stuff like that. So it's really good. Definitely a pro is definitely the money you get. Next is the traveling. Traveling is great. You get to drive all around the United States depending on what you're doing, and you get to see all kinds of different things. I've seen all kinds of sceneries, everything like that. There's a couple pictures that I have in the intro now, and I'll be bringing more pictures in as I go along. Some of the pretty scenes that I see, I'll pull over, take a picture. You know, or I'm shutting down for the night. It's just really nice, and you know, you get to see the different areas and stuff like that. It's really cool. So yeah, traveling is definitely a big pro for this. Next, it's kind of a little bit of a long talk. It's experience. Now, when I say experience, I'm talking backing, driving, the weather, dealing with rush hours. You know, it's definitely great to have that kind of experience. So we'll break it down a little bit more. So backing, you're gonna be backing into different types of scenarios nonstop when you're driving over the road. If you're doing Dollar General, whenever I am, because right now I'm running brokered loads because Dollar General's a little slow, so they don't need the extra help, so I'm running brokered loads. But Dollar General, like that account or accounts like that, dedicated accounts, you get to back into all kinds of different things, you know, alleyways, tight parking lots, busy parking lots, off the street, you know, all kinds of different things. The weather, I've driven everything from snowstorms to heavy winds and rains to hurricane-like to tornado-like winds, you know, knowing when to shut down, reading the road and what it's doing. I've had it before where the road was icing over as I was driving, and you have a line of trucks doing, you know, 20 miles an hour trying to get to that next exit to shut down because out of nowhere the temperature just randomly drops, and you know, you try to prepare as best you can, but sometimes things happen, you know. So and it iced over so quickly that only the the drag of the motor slowing down RPM could slow the truck down. You couldn't use brakes or nothing like that. You'd lock up and slide. And dealing with rush hours and stuff like that, you know, in every type of city, it's all different, you know, depending on where you are, where you're going, sorry, I let the moth go. What kind of city you're in. You have different types of rush hour. You have big city rush hour, small city rush hour, just rush hour in general where traffic's heavy. So yeah, you get all those different types of experiences. Next one, it's a great way to get into trucking. If you're looking at getting your CDL and you're not sure how to do it, you don't want to work the docks at some local freight company, you know, or, you know, you just, you know, you want to go to school and stuff like that. Driving with a mega carrier or someone that offers something like a mega carrier would, there's other companies out there that aren't really necessarily in the top 5, you know, ones that aren't like Swift, Warner, and Covenant and stuff like that. You know, you can, you know, if you can get into it and drive over the road, it help you get your CDL. Most of the time, most of the companies will pay for it. Yeah, you have to go under contract unless you're a veteran like me and you do the veteran program, which I've talked about before. But it's a great way to get into trucking and get your CDL. To get you the experience you need to go work somewhere locally where you're home every day, or a dedicated where you're home on the weekends. Definitely a great way to do it is by going over the road, because a lot of places require for you to start off making the good money, and a lot of these companies, they require the over the road experience. Some companies are a year, some are a year and a half, some are 2 years. It just really depends on the company and their policy. So yeah, driving over the road is a great way to get into the industry. Others will obviously not agree with me, but that's okay. It's an opinion. Everyone has one, right? It's great for single drivers. I am married. My wife is back at home with our 2 dogs, and she maintains the fort when I'm gone and I'm over the road. Now, granted, I don't have kids, so it's a little bit easier for us to cope with it, but it's still a really hard adjustment being gone. There's going to be times where you're missing your family. There's going to be times when you just wish you were home. Like, you know, like this. I've been shut down now for 2 days because I can't deliver till Tuesday. So, you know, I'm wishing I was just home. I'd rather spend the time at home than sitting in my truck. But it's good for single men, women, because, you know, if you don't have no ties to back home besides just family, I've ran into plenty of drivers that do it, and they utilize the company to go on mini vacations, which is really cool. You know, I had this one guy, he goes out to California. He'll work a month, 2 months straight. Now, when I say work a month straight, I mean, like, you still got to do your resets. You still get your 34 hours off. But, you know, he'll get to a point where he'll be like, all right, I'm going to take some time off. He'll tell his dispatcher, you know, I want to take a week off and I want to go to Las Vegas. So they'll broker him a load and he'll cruise out to Las Vegas and spend time out there, or he'll cruise out to California. A lot of people do it. It's actually really cool for someone that is with a single life and looking for a job to get you out and be able to see the United States and it not hit your pocketbook so bad. I mean, this is a great way to do it. You can go out on the road. You can do 48 states, like with Warner, you can do 48 states, and you just get to go everywhere. And when you do your resets, you can reset in areas. You know, Uber's everywhere. Uber, Lyft, all that stuff. You can do that and get to get experience in the local area. For me, I don't do it so much because, well, one, when I'm time for my time off, I'm going home. With 2 of my resets, I don't like to spend the money on it because I do have a family back home. But whenever you're single and you can do that kind of stuff, man, have a great time. It's definitely great for single people to get into this and be able to experience everything and do different things and sometimes do it on the company's dime. Interaction with other drivers, another pro for driving over the road. I've done in videos before. I have a CB. This isn't always on. But, well, I take that back. Yeah, it's on 90% of the time, but I might turn it down. Like if I'm on the phone and stuff like that, I'm gonna turn it down. You know, if you know if I'm on my headset, you know, if you know, I'm sitting somewhere for a long time, you know, sometimes I turn down and get it out of the way. But it helps out a lot with interaction with other drivers. You start to learn. You get to listen to other drivers and their opinions and stuff like that. And this is actually also in the con category in part 2. But for a pro, you get to interact with other drivers, see the way that they handle situations, what they're talking about, the industry's doing, and things like that. And you also get to interact with drivers at rest areas. and truck stops and stuff like that. I interacted with this one really cool driver. He was from Germany. He did some time in the military in the French Foreign Legion, which was really cool. We walked around the truck stop getting some exercise in, and we got to talk about some cool things. He got to see the industry grow from like the late 80s and 90s and up to today. Really cool guy. I've interacted sitting down at the truck stops eating and stuff like that with really cool drivers, have a lot of experience to talk about, and then a lot of them want to hear what you have to talk about, and and stuff like that. And in the cons, I'll touch on the other drivers that are not fun to interact with. But yeah, so that's the interaction with other drivers that helps out a lot. You get to interact with different shippers and consignees. Now, a real quick side note for those that don't know, that are just getting into the industry, or never heard that phrase before, which has happened, is, so obviously shipper's pretty self-explanatory. It's the person that's shipping whatever it is that you're picking up. Consignee is the person that's signing for whatever it is that you're delivering. So it works a little bit different in the Dollar General world. The shipper and the consignee is the same, which is the Dollar General DC, and then all the other stores are just stops. So in the brokering world, your shipper, which would be, say, Dynomatic, corporation is shipping a bunch of dynomatting to Audio USA, whatever, and so your Dynomatic is going to be your shipper, and your audio is going to be your consignee, the person that's picking up receiving the shipment. So you get to deal with a lot of different ones to see how they all work. Different shippers, different things like that, to see how they all work. Because they all work differently. I picked up my phone there. It's the truck's kind of just started up. It's rough idle, so it's making the phone jiggle in a weird way. So with that being said, you get to deal with different places. Now, utilizing technology is the best way to get in and out of these places. Now, old school drivers will try to argue with me on this point, and they probably will, and they might leave comments on it, but hey, everyone's different. So I believe in utilizing technology. You have the opportunity of using GPS, and also using your phone and atlases and stuff like that. So I believe in using it all. You get to deal with going into different consignees. So what can happen is you're utilizing your truck GPS or your trucking GPS to go to a certain place, and you never been to this consignee before or this shipper, and say your GPS is going to bring you in from the north. Well, you pull it up on your Google Maps on your phone, you get an aerial shot of where you're going, and you realize if I come in from the south, I won't have to do a blind side 90 back into there. I can actually do a sight side, which would be a lot safer. So you learn that, okay, utilizing all the technology together works great. Now, sometimes you have to use your atlas. When I'm moving around in New York City and stuff like that, I always have my atlas out, and I'm always double checking, because roads change, different patterns change, everything changes, and the atlas is usually printed and good to go. Sometimes the GPS can miss something or whatever, so it's always good to use the two together. So utilizing both together. But yeah, interaction with different shippers and consignees, as far as personality goes too, on top of it, you're going to deal with some that love their job, some that hate their job, but that's everywhere you go. I mean, it's basic, fundamentals of life. But yes, interacting with going to the different places gets you the experience of backing in and approach and learning the best way to get into a place to pick up or drop off a load. All right, and then now we're going to talk to the last topic that I have for right now. And I could do 16 parts on this. I don't know. As of right now, this is what I got. I just kind of jotted down so I can make this video. The last one is learning to haul different types of loads and weights. That one's pretty cool. So my load leaving out from my last time off, I picked up in Georgia a bunch of cottonseed. And they loaded into my truck using the front end loader with the telescoping boom. Cottonseed looks like the ends of Q-tips, and it's fairly light, but it's damp. They keep it damp, probably because to keep it from being flammable or to keep it from germinating or whatever the reasons are. Well, you pick up a handful of it and it doesn't feel that crazy, it's not that heavy, but it loaded me up to 78,000 pounds, and it was across the charts on my trailer. My tandems were, because of the kingpin laws that I was dealing with going into different states, I couldn't slide my TAMs to really balance out my entire load the way I want it to, so it's kind of all over the place. But that's a lot of weight, and it was loaded low to medium high in the trailer. Like I'm gonna throw a picture up on this video to let you guys know, just to let you guys see how it was loading the truck. But so it was all over the place. Then my time before I went home for my last time off, I picked up a shipment of spaghetti sauce, and that company palletized it depending on the truck length and the load weight. They balanced it out so well. Now I had to go back because the first guy loaded didn't know what he was doing. The second guy did, and he loaded me up so nicely that my truck pulled better than it had ever pulled before. And it's just because everything was in sync, it was in balance with itself. So that's one of the pros to having certain shippers whenever they load things. Next, I picked up this load, and I'll throw a picture up here. It's the lightest load I've ever carried. It's got 4 pallets up in the front of my truck, and it weighs, according to the paperwork, about 3,000 pounds. After doing the scale and stuff like that, it's like right there. It's like 2,800 or something like that. So it's the lightest load I've ever had, which kind of hinders me a little bit because if I hit bad weather, I can't keep driving. I have to pull over because I don't have the weight to help keep the truck stable on the road when it's windy. Because when I picked up the cottonseed, it was windy from Georgia all the way up to Wisconsin. I was dealing with wind, gusts, all kinds of stuff. I actually had to shut down one night. I couldn't start in the morning because the storm that had come through, was one of the storms coming through the plains, was just horrible. I had to send in saying, hey, I can't make it. I can't leave just yet, so I'm going to be late. But now with this shipment, luckily I've hit decent weather, nothing crazy, so it hasn't really affected me. But like the lighter the load, the lighter the truck, the more dangerous it is to drive in high winds and road conditions. But also being really heavy has its downfall too, depending on what you're dealing with. And that's a whole nother topic for a different story or a different video, so we'll attack that at different times. But yeah, so as of right now, that's all the pros that I have. You should be seeing a cons video coming up to help go against some of the pros that I have, because just like everything, you have your ups and your downs, your pros and your cons, and different ways of looking at things and taking things. So take all this, and if you're looking into getting in trucking, take in mind that these are some pros, and to know that I'll have the cons come along, so you can help weigh your options and what you choose to do, whether you want to get into trucking or not. So this is Army Vet Trucker here, and stay safe out there, drive smartly, leave enough following distance, have fun with it, and have a great time, and I'll see you next time.